Hello everyone, welcome to our Circle I Am Salve Women. For today we're going to talk about my article, Returning Peace in Your Actions to Victory. And you know, what's interesting is because I do see that the world works very hard at creating inequality. And it's even harder for me to really truly accept that because of this inequality that has then been created, some of us fall into bitterness, hopelessness, and just pure disappointment of life. And so this despondence kicks in, and that takes away the light that we were given from the time that we are born. We breathe air, and we're just striving to continue to be who we are and who we each were meant to be. And yet then the world works at that, and it can be very, very much of a try every day to push away from all of the pull factors, is what I call them. But yet finding yourself in a pit, is my focal point here to begin with. It's somewhat like an infiltration, because it's not something that happens right away. Of course, physically you could fall into a pit and go, oh my goodness, here I am, I've hurt myself, and I have to find myself out. But in a theoretical sense, in a spiritual sense, in a mindful sense, in a heartfelt sense, we really think of it in the means of the trickery of the world. And what I find to be sad is that typically the ones who have been emptied of their light, of their happiness, of their good times, those are the ones that end up being the workers of even more of these actions that then create somewhat of a divide between those just trying to do right and those who have found themselves not in the right, or that they feel that they're in the right and yet are now following into trying to prove why they are right. And it takes a lot of energy in people. Every day there are those who are following other people's lives and trying to find means in subjecting themselves really in that mindset. And we've all been there. I'm not acting as if I'm perfect, because no one is, right? We're always striving for excellence. And in that process of striving for excellence, we want to be the right. We want to be in the light. We want to be the one to be recognized of living righteously. And it can be very difficult to sometimes determine who is in the right. So finding yourself in that pit, once you're there, you're kind of stumped. And I know this from experiences. Like when you're there, you just sit there and you think, how did this happen? How has this now put me in a position where it's blown me away? It's gotten to a point where it's just like my soul, as I mentioned in my article, in more or less words, it's like it's fallen to my feet, and I'm just feeling so heavy. I don't even feel like I need to get up right now. I just need to think this through and think, what happened? What caused this moment to happen, and how long had I known that it possibly could have, or did I ever think so? And when at least in my experience, and I'm sure many people's experiences, when you are in abundance of light, everything is great. You're just feeling the glory of God, and you're feeling so blessed. You're doing your best to just be quiet about everything, because you're immersed in all of it. And as things progress, and sometimes the days of abundance just continue and continue and continue, but you're sharing it with others. You're not just there on your own basking in the sunlight and all of the light that's illuminating. You're starting to feel like, wow, I get to share this with everyone around me, and there's this abundance of light that perhaps can energize others, inspire others, and they can see that it can be done, and even a person like me can make it happen, or that my family, my husband's great work, my children's determination to follow through with our goals and just do their part, because each of them being amazing, and having just to wake up with the entire package to get their part done. All of a sudden you're thinking, I just have to continue to do my part, and the light will continue to illuminate, and everyone will then be celebrating with all of the victories. And yet, it almost seems that you get to this point where you start to feel like, wait, why is it that it's not a very celebratory feeling at this time? Why does it feel like all of a sudden I have to tame myself, and this energy that I may have that inside is just jumping out of me? And it's like you start to sense that there are those who may have thought they have lost their own light, or that you've stolen theirs and they want yours. And then it's not, when you had that armor, I really want to say that there's no fear. Like, you're not sitting there saying to yourself, well, I have to protect it, I have to hoard it, and I have to make sure that no one takes it. You're like, it's all good, right? There's plenty to share. Life is great, and let's immerse in it all, and let's just have a good time. And so you are singing and dancing and dining and just celebrating with everyone. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself being pushed into a pit. And you're like, wait a minute, what happened? And why am I here? But then yet, that piece, that poison that I call in my article, you just let that poison of anger that starts to come inside or enter into your system, you tell yourself, no. That poison has to poison itself. Let that anger die down, because that's only going to kill me. And this is what anyone who is against any light that I may have been given, or anybody else around me, would like to happen. And you can't let that, because now you're responsible not just for yourself, but that light you carry. I mean, think about that torch in the Olympics that people are always carrying, and they're passing it on. You have to think to yourself, if I was to let my light die down, how many would then be lost in their own path, to their own journeys, to their own destination? So, in the time that you have been given, you have to continue to illuminate. And so you have to really strengthen your heart, your mind, your body, and spirit the entire time. But you're taken down. And you then just have to embrace that and go, then let myself be taken down. There's that point in you that says, let it happen. Let it be. Let all of this then take into action. Let it all absorb itself, and then let me absolve myself from it all. Because as long as I know I was in that right, then I was in the light. And any darkness cannot overcome even just a smidget of light that's left. And you sometimes just kind of sit there in that pit and go, okay, this happened. This hurt. This is real. And what can I learn from it? When I look back, what could have I done different? And would have I done anything different? Because if I had done anything different, then I would not be in this situation where then I get to rebuild. And then you think about the rebuilding, and your witticism kicks in, and you say to yourself, hold on. Unfortunately, the deceptive have now become the deceive, because they are working all of that energy to try to break you down. But what they don't realize is the walls that they are breaking down were the walls that they created to try and enclose you and really put you into darkness. And when they broke down those walls, all of that light that actually was all within your luminescence, right? All of a sudden has come back and projected back onto you. And quietly you're saying to yourself, wow, thank you. Because had not that happened, all of these that transpired into this moment where, I perhaps was feeling a bit bitter, or, going through some anger and just feelings of betrayal, like, how could this happen? What have I done? And then all of a sudden you're like, it had to have happened, because now I'm stronger, I'm better from it all. I've been re-strengthened. And it's interesting because I still go back to that joke of, someone buying groceries next door to prove to someone that there is no God. And then, the neighbor is laughing, and, the person is saying, not only have you brought me the blessings, but you let the devil buy it. More or less words, right? I mean, it just goes to show you, not that we call people devils, right? But unfortunately, they carry on the spirit of the dark. And you say to yourself then, let them work to break down the walls that need to be broken down. And let me just immerse myself in all of this madness for the moment, because there's no madness that will take me down. I will still keep my stance. I have my light. And when you're ready to stand up, and you stand up, it's interesting, because then who cares how long you've been down, as long as you did not allow yourself to then be in complete darkness. Because again, there's only a little smidget of light to keep you in the light. No darkness can ever fully close you in, unless there's no light to ever exist. So you hold on to whatever little you have, and you stand up, and that's really that peace in you that then allows people who have been waiting for you to come back. And we've all been there, where you don't realize that with you standing up, it has actually given people the energy to stand up with you, and to be reminded that if they can do it, then I can. And so they're looking at you as like, thank goodness you stood up. Because, think about it, right? Why the king is protected and all of the soldiers fight, because they stand for hope. And it's in that faith that we have to just really persevere and be determined to protect. And that peace in us that says, okay, I've got to protect this light. And now that I'm up, I'm showing everybody else, time to go ahead and keep shining. So, in this article, I'm going to end it with the song, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine." And so there, in the words of my mother, reminding you, no matter what darkness you have found yourself in, who cares, as long as you stand back up and go, time to get a move on it. I learned from it. I'm re-strengthened by it. The people that try to build some walls in to try to close me in, thank you. And those of you who really could use some of my light, let's hope this time it is to inspire you. It is to motivate you. It is to make you understand you have your own light to shine. And so stick with that, believe in it, know it, and then continue to achieve. One day at a time, one moment at a time. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.